Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. O.P. Verma from HP University Shimla. Today we are going to talk on module Introduction to Change Management from paper Organizational Change and Development. After studying this module, you will be able to understand meaning and importance of change, types of change, different forces behind driving change in the organizations, characteristics of change management, process of managing change in the organizations. Today, an organization can be seen as an entity which is continuously working with the complex and dynamic business environment. The situational approach of managing the organizational structure also emphasizes on the fact that the organizations must make themselves adaptive according to the current environment in order to be competitive and innovative in nature, so as to make the most of the opportunity. The strength of any business concern can only be seen at the time of changing scenarios. It can be checked from the managerial efficiency of the business unit that to what extent the top management has achieved successful implementation and management of the change. Think of a situation where there is no change in the working environment of the business concern. Then, in that case, the top management job, which is generally considered as a think tank of the organization, would be relatively very easy. The whole management process would remain same for the tomorrow like it is for today. Moreover, the current organizational design is going to be same because there would be no uncertainty in the environment. Similarly, decision-making process would be dramatically simple and accurate for every situation. In short, it would indeed simplify the whole of the management job, but in reality, it is not true. Change is an inevitable organizational reality, and managing change is an integral part of every manager working in the organization, no matter to which level it belongs. Types of change. Change can be classified into various forms according to its characteristics and the target area it is going to affect. However, the same is briefly explained as follows. Directional change. It is a kind of change the organization usually adopts to lead itself into new dimension. This change occurs on the condition of severe competition and regulatory shifts in the government policy. It is just like developing a new strategy and implementing the developed strategy. Incremental change. This kind of change occurs gradually and slowly with the passage of time. The rationale behind adopting this kind of change is to avoid the organization with a sudden shock and therefore slowly implement the change so that organization does not face much resistance from the employees. Operating change. As the name suggests, it is mainly directed in improving the quality, quantity, timeliness, operational cost, and bringing cost effectiveness in the organizational level. The prime focus rests on improving the prevailing operations and attains the organization goals by effectively utilizing the resources. Fundamental change. This change may be necessitated by lower turnover, failure of the expected business prospect, drastic change on the business environment. In this type of change, organizations redefine the whole purpose of their existence, their mission, and their vision. Planned change. It is basically a transformational change which occurs on planned basis in accordance with the internal and external demand. It is a change which is systematically organized so as to make fuller utilization of the available business opportunity. Transformational change. This leads to change in entire or a greater part of the organization. It simply conveys the change in the shape, structure, and nature of the organization. Strategic change. This is a type of change which is primarily focused to tackle with the competition existing for the business organization. It comprises of taking moves which serves as competitive edge over the rivals in achieving maximum share in the market. Reactive change. This change serves as a response to the environment. It is basically taken when any change takes place in the environment, and to compete with the change, the reaction is taken by the organization. Recreational change. This change acts as making new structure, system, strategy for the business entity. It means starting from the scratch. The business starts and recreates its whole organizational structure as well as the strategies in a new form. Anticipatory change. It is an expectation move mainly taken for the purpose of some bright future prospect for achieving maximum benefits. The change is mainly concentrated to make itself adaptable according to the change. Happened change. This change is typically unpredictable and uncontrollable and happens naturally due to the external forces of change. It puts in front of the organization the challenges that put the organization into an unknown future state. Forces to change. When we say change, we simply mean modify or to become something different. To give this a definitive form, change can be seen as a systematic transition process from the present situation to the future desired situation to remain in line with the current situation. Change forms an habitable part of the organizational reality for the simple reason that it leads to innovation which helps in attaining profitability objectives. To remain differently visible among competition, innovation has always been a significant aspect of managerial job, which are now becoming more significant in the years to come. The organization which fails to make it adaptive to the change is surely going to fail. Therefore, change is required in the operational and managerial functioning to maintain stability and existence. The destiny of any concern is based on the fact that the policymakers are having conscious and concerned watch on the different controllable and uncontrollable forces which can affect the working. Hence, managers need to first assess the impact and influence of the change and then accordingly evolve appropriate strategies and action plan to maintain a balance. The various factors which acts as a stimulus to change are external forces. These forces are also considered as uncontrollable forces. The only option left to the organization regarding these factors is to accept it and implement it accordingly. The forces which come in the sphere of external forces are particularly the one who are also seen as macro environmental factors with a wider scope to affect many working units at the same time. Therefore, the various external forces that act as a catalyst to bring changes are as follows. Technological forces. Technology has evidenced wide range of transformations from inventing a computer to landing on the moon. Human beings have traveled a long way throughout several years. From the business perspective, technology has always played an eminent role, say 100 workmen tasks being done by a single machine, replacing the manual work with computers, using internet and social media networking in place of traditional advertisement techniques, etc. For the business houses, it is necessary that they adopt the latest technology as soon as possible in order to remain cost effective and bring profitability. New techniques of production, innovation in new process, and emphasis on research and development are some of the major technological forces that may bring change in the organization. Political and legal forces. The stability in the political as well as legal environment is directly linked with the stability in the policies of business houses. The forces which act as frequent impacts for change in the organizations can be political ideology of the government in power, the morality and values which government supports their political stability. The other factors can be government interventions in the business and labor legislation, policies towards business, trade, and other foreign trade matters can also be counted to be prominent forces for change. Economic forces. These forces affect almost all organizations, not within a particular region, but to all economic regions. That is, these forces have no boundaries and it is not only limited to a country but may have global effects. For instance, global slowdown can affect many countries at the same time. Similarly, in a particular single economy, uncertainties about monetary policies, measures, interest rate, fiscal policies, and foreign exchange rates can create a need for the organization to change. Sociocultural forces. We as a human being are constantly changing, and so is our society and various cultures. This also leads for the organization to remain dynamic for the simple reason that changing cultural values and norms, spread of educational level, women empowerment issues, changing population dynamics, increasing rate of urbanization, etc., would be having an impact on the business firms also. Market forces. There are several market forces which affect the entire working of the business. The reason here is that a business unit is directly and indirectly linked with many stakeholders having some sort of interest with the business. They are suppliers, competitors, customers, community, and society, which can affect the working of the business unit. For example, we consider competitors which have a significant role to play in deciding organizations' tactics and strategies against any competitive move. Thus, organizations need to change accordingly. Internal forces. These can be simply defined as controllable forces which are originated from the internal operations of the organization or from the impact of external forces. Say, if we take management is providing crutch facility for the children of working women, then it is management derived change move, and if as per the agreement with the trade union the crutch facility is provided, then it is external derivative force. These forces mainly include the following. System dynamics. Organization system is composed of many subsystems which are collectively forming organization structure. Every subpart is interrelated with one another in one way or the other, having a composite impact on the activities of the organization. Thus, if any subsystem is losing its efficiency and is not working parallel with the environment, there ought to be a change that is required. Inefficiency in the administrative process. If the administrative structure is such that it is lacking the efficiency to work with the prevailing environment, then there comes a need to alter the structure according to the forces which are driving the change in order to work along with the environment. Organization policies agenda. A host of policies and programs relating to every aspects of organizational design are included in the policy agenda of any organization. This would limit not only to the operational activities but also to the personnel related activities. If the management fails to change any policy issue to make in line with the external environment, then it would be acting as a force to change. Workforce composition. As it is evident that an organization is a composition of human resources having different age, sex, education, socio-cultural background, and so forth. Change in the perception, belief, attitude, feelings, and expectation of the workforce is also bound to affect the change in the internal working of the organization. Production and process change. If the management feels that in order to remain in flow of the current environment, there is a need to implant new production methods, tools, and techniques, it is pertinent that business move in the direction of technological development. The changes it faces would be regarding the restructuring of job, design, interaction, pattern among working units, training and development programs, etc. Thus, a change in any element of the business units is bound to have significant change in the entire working also. Individual and group expectation. The organization is basically characterized by the people working and every individual giving its services to the organization have certain needs and aspiration, but it is a universal fact that the needs of the organization is never ending. Therefore, there are all new expectations inside the individual or group from the organization which needs to be satisfied. This expectation always induces the organization to change its functioning accordingly and progress so that the organization remain successful in fulfilling the aspiration of the individual or groups. Change management. Change management is composed of two words: change plus management. As we have understood the meaning, importance, and forces deriving change, it is essential that we correlate it with the management. Management is a multi-purpose organ that manages a business, manages a manager, and manages workers and work. Without efficient management, we cannot secure best allocation and utilization of human, material, and financial resources. Thus, when we consider change management collectively, it can simply be meant that in order to achieve thorough and smooth transmission from the current state to the future desired state, change management is applied. The reason that lies behind applying change management is to ensure that allocation and utilization of present available resources and the best possible way so as to achieve the objectives efficiently and effectively. For a business entity working in the dynamic environment, change is the only constant and it has to be accepted in order to maintain existence. So the organizations here need to remain flexible in every aspect in order to fix any change at the minimum cost. Thus, change management is a scientific and systematic approach to ensure proper implementation of the change for attaining a desired state in order to achieve organizational objectives. It is exactly like adopting a proactive approach in dealing with the people, and for that, openness, communication, and involvement needs to be taken care of. Managing the change process. The first step towards any change is awareness, and then later on comes with it the acceptance. Management need to understand the very reason for which the change is required and communicates the positive effects it would be serving in the future. It is equally essential that any change must be properly planned and implemented, coping up with the changing environment as well as the individuals working in the organization. The following steps can be followed in order to manage the change properly. To identify the need to change. Initially, the management tries to identify and find out the requirement of change. The need can be easily identified by the internal as well as external factors, stimulating the changes in the current pattern. For this purpose, the management must require to collect all the relevant information to validate the need for change. In addition to this, a manager must define in clear terms whether the change is strategic, reactive, incremental, or anticipatory in nature. Communicating the change. Resistance to change is the first and foremost problem which management deals with while implementing any change. People working in the organizations are often concerned with the after effects of change that may affect them with negative consequences. Thus, there is a misconception in the mind that any change, if implemented, would create discomfort. So they resist change for the simple reason that they feel secure in the present working environment. Here, it becomes imperative on the part of management communicates about why there is a need to change, what the organization is striving to change, and how the change would be implemented. Therefore, effective communication can prove to be a critical role player in overcoming the resistance to change. Developing a support system. To implement any change effectively, it must be supported by the complete participation of the entire organization. To fulfill this objective, management need to develop a proper support system. The various systems which are going to get affected by the change must be nurtured with the required support to achieve greater outcome with less desire. Here it is essential to mention that for providing a proper support system, business entity must have required resources also for matching up to that level in order to be in equilibrium. Selecting an appropriate methodology. No matter how much an organization is resourceful in terms of financial, physical as well as human resources, if it does not have the capacity to manage them properly, it would eventually fail. While implementing any change, the methodology which an organization is applying must suit to the available resources of the business entity. If the management fails in assessing and matching the requirement which the present situation demands, then the whole effort would prove to be of no use. Follow-up action plan. Management task does not end up with the implementation of the change methodology. Rather, they are required to have a conscious watch on the working of the change process till it achieves its objective for which the whole process has been executed. Thus, the follow-up plan by the management would ensure successful implementation of the change process. Let's summarize what we have learned in this module. Now, a time has arrived that the business organizations opt an adaptive management system in this modern high-tech environment so that they make effective utilization of available resources, whether physical or human, in order to maintain its profitability goals. Business concerns should treat change as occasional disturbances and always get ready to change accordingly. Also, the managers need to alter complacent behavior of the working human resources in time so as to efficiently and effectively manage the change facing their work areas. Change management is a 21st century management guiding tool which is originated for facilitating change in the available resources according to the changing business scenarios. Thank you.